Hello everyone, Coach Carole again, and I have more tips for you in February 2025, tech tips to help with your genealogy workflow. Today I'm heading over to Perplexity to have a look at some of the other features that I've not yet covered with you. Let's head over now to Perplexity and have a look at what I'm talking about. I find some of these really helpful in putting together my research plans and creating my family history stories. So I have a space here for my Evans family research, as you can see, out of many spaces that I've created. And the threads, as you may or may not know, are the chats that I've had within this space. Inside the space, I have some instructions over there. Please look at that. That's fairly comprehensive, giving instructions on tone and language, personal touches, how to organise, maintaining casual yet respectful tone, providing solutions, and including steps. So a fairly comprehensive set of descriptions there for this tool, this space, which is all about the places, times, events, and people of my Evans family in Pembrokeshire, Wales. I can make changes here whenever I want, and if I do so, I need to update it. The space also includes specific files that relate to this family of Evans, and if necessary, I can add more. So that's what I'm going to do today. I've actually got a few documents that I've added to this new thread coming up. I'll just click on those so you can see. I'm including JPEG images of a marriage license, a census or two, and a passenger list. Now, before I put in my prompt, I'm going to choose how I want Perplexity to perform the response. The moment it's set for auto, I can use a pro search, which gives me 3 times more sources and detailed answers, or I can use its newest deep research. And I'll reserve that one for another tutorial. Let's have a look at Pro Search. So we'll put that in place and it tells you that that's what it's using. Next to that, we can set the sources for the search that we want it to do. Yes, search the web. Yes, search any scholarly and research papers. And yes, search through social discussions. And definitely search this space, which includes files and links. Over here on the bottom right, you can see that I've added in one link here, which is my blog site in weare.xyz. So you can have a look at that as well. So next I want to put in place my prompt and see how well it can help me in this next piece of research. So I've gathered that together over here in my Google Doc. And this is the prompt that I'm going to use. So I'm going to copy that, head back to Perplexity, and paste it in place. It's a fairly lengthy prompt this time because I'm wanting it to have as much information as possible and to alert it to the fact that there are things, records, files that it can use to help put together an answer. Basically, I'm looking for the migration pattern of Thomas Hugh Evans, a grandson of Joseph Job. He migrated from Wales to Canada, and it looks like he might have come back at least once, as I saw another passenger list involving him returning to Southampton. So I've put all that in place, and I've asked Perplexity to put together a timeline for Thomas and his family. It's a fairly complex set of tasks there. We'll activate all that, see how Perplexity performs. The first thing that it does is it finds resources and sources. can see it doing here. This will take a few minutes, so I will pause. And now you can see the extra documents that I've put in place: marriage certificate, census from Canada, a passenger list, and a census from the UK. Here's the answer, and it puts it in place in the tone that I had asked of it in my instructions. Gives me a migration timeline. So in the early years, Thomas was in the 1921 census, living at Treffloyne Farm in Pembrokeshire, Wales. Then by 1930, he'd made his way to Toronto, Ontario, where he married Emily May Wilkinson, May 10, 1930. So it's managed to get all that data from the uploaded documents. Extra observations: Thomas was 25 years old, working as a printer. Emily was 24 years old, and both were residing at 74 Ossington Avenue, Toronto. 1931 census shows them both living in Toronto South, and in 1933 it confirms that they both appear to have travelled on the Canadian Pacific as a passenger, travelling back to Southampton in England, and presumably from there back to Wales. However, that bit of information I've still to uncover. We do know that he must have returned to Canada because their daughter, Martha May, was born there in 1937. And we know that both Emily and Thomas passed away in Canada. So here's the research suggestions that Perplexity has given for me. Have I considered looking for immigration records showing Thomas's first arrival in Canada before 1930? I hadn't. I had assumed that that was the first of his journey. So another task for me to go and look at. Then search for records of their return journey from Southampton after 1933. I need to do that. And perhaps exploring local directories and newspapers in Toronto during the 1930s. As it says, the multiple moves between Canada and England suggest Thomas and Emily maintained connections on both sides of the Atlantic. And then, as usual, Perplexity asks if I would like to explore what motivated these travels. And it gives me suggested questions that I might click into below. But for now, it's done the job. So from a fairly lengthy prompt and a fairly complex set of requests, it has done a fine job, and I can go from there to working on further research. So the tools inside Perplexity are really useful for your research and for your storytelling. So try it for yourself. Create a space, and you can do that simply clicking on spaces and then clicking the plus button, describe it, and put in place your instructions and anything else that you need. And you can choose in there which of the models that you want it to use for its reasoning, even the newest O3 Mini reasoning model from ChatGPT. So it's fairly comprehensive in what it can do. Any of your chats will appear in your library. Over there for a moment. And as you can see, this new thread that I've created is now inside the space called Evans Family Research. There we have it. This has been another tech tip for you in using Perplexity for your family history archives. I hope you enjoy delving deeper into spaces, threads, and making sure that you now know where to find those extra little features that Perplexity gives you to help with your research. I'll be back with more later.